Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please call the administrative calendar?
Yes, Supervisor, there are items 9 through 125 on the administrative calendar. I also have 4 items that are of an urgent or emergency nature. The first emergency resolution is entitled Resolution Supporting a Water Quality Improvement Project, the Marine District Habitat Restoration Grant Application to the New York State Regional Economic Development Council. The second emergency resolution supports an Environmental Protection Fund program for Parks Preservation and Heritage grant application to the New York State Regional Economic Development Council for bulkheading repairs at Baldwin Park. The third emergency resolution supports an Environmental Protection Fund program for Parks Preservation and Heritage grant application to the New York State Regional Economic Development Council to preserve the Soldiers and Sailors Monument and the surrounding area in Greenfield Cemetery. And lastly, we have the fourth emergency resolution, which calls for a public hearing on a local law to amend Chapter 180 of the Code of the Town of Hempstead entitled Place Streets by retitling the chapter Closed Streets, replacing the word play with closed, authorizing the Commissioner of Highways to place appropriate signs and devices indicating and protecting closed streets, and adding Ocean Boulevard and Lido Beach as a closed street. These items will be added to the administrative calendar as items 126 through 129.
First, does any member of the board wish to be heard on the administrative calendar? Okay, secondly, I have a couple of slips on this. First, we'll start with Felix Percacci. Morning, Mr. Percacci. If you give me an address, just name and address for the record. Thank you.
Felix Percacci, Franklin Square. First, I'd like you to put items 126 through 129 on the website so they could be viewed. On item number 69, $25 million serial bonds for highway construction, highway roadway construction. When are you going to execute this bond resolution?
John?
The bond resolutions are on for today.
No, when are you going to execute it, meaning get the money?
That's a cash flow item. We just went out on borrowing, and we do not anticipate needing any additional funds this year. Next year, we will go out and borrow. We'll identify what we need and borrow next year. There's adequate funding to take care of anything that's necessary, including the road program.
How much money are you going to spend on roads this year?
The bond issue right now has $25 million for roads and approximately $9 million for road repaving in various parking of lots.
Yeah, and then Commissioner Tooman, how much is being allocated on road projects right now in total for the year? From January 1st to the end of the year, how much is going to be utilized on roads?
Or for this past year, what's been utilized?
From January 1st this year, right now, through the end of the year, how much do you anticipate being utilized in road projects?
We're going to be utilizing the $25 million that's being passed now.
Any other funds being utilized? Any other money projects awarded for projects going on right now, aside from the 25?
We have all from funding from 2020, funding from 2019.
Right.
All those are going into construction. There's many projects that are going into construction right now. The engineering department, since I've been there, has never had more road reconstruction happening than what's happening right now.
Good.
I could give you more specific figures if you like.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure. I knew we have a lot going on the road, so I just want to make sure.
That's not to mention the GOZA projects.
Yep.
It's $60 million in funding, and
that's what I was going to say. I think we have excess of like $80 million right now in road projects going on in total. Am I right about that?
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Percacci, any other questions?
Yes. When I asked the question about the $40 million that we passed the resolution for on March 31st of last year, I asked the question about when that money is going to be borrowed. I was told it wasn't going to be borrowed till September. But it was touted in the press. You know, you put a press release saying that it was supposed to stimulate the economy in 2020, but you only borrowed, I think, what, 5.9 of it, and that was in December, way after the asphalt companies closed down for the winter. So that money couldn't be used for roads at that point in time. So the question, I mean, I did want to know exactly how much are you allocating for roads this year, not using money from previous years, because as a candidate, you said that we need to do $70 million a year, otherwise we're going to become the sixth borough of New York City. So I just want, and I've checked the 5-year plan, and that number hasn't changed. It's still at 31.5 according to the 5-year plan. You haven't upped it to 70 million. So it's for people looking at this, if you're going to put out press releases and say you're going to do this and you're going to do that, it'd be nice if people could go there and actually check to verify that those numbers are what you say, and the press releases is just not a lot of hot air. So you understand what I'm getting at. But anyway, it would be nice if you do publish the actual numbers in your 5-year plan. If you're going to up the road repair core spending for this year, put that in the 5-year plan. It's online already. You know, it would be nice. It's already there. Just change the number. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bicaccio. It was nice to see you. Next, I have Bonnie Garone. Good morning. If you name an address for the record, thank you.
Good morning. Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. This question is about item 11. This is adding $75,000 to pay for some unspecified work by Cash and Associates. And it merely says the Commissioner of General Services deemed it necessary to retain their services and to facilitate various necessary capital projects. What exactly is this funding for?
Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, Town Board, and Senior Councilwoman. Cashin and Associates is one of the engineers that the Town of Hempstead uses from time to time. This is just to replenish the account in the event we need their services for any type of emergency or building maintenance or repair type work, things to that. But it's not being used. It's just giving us the ability, in the event we ever need an engineering firm, we have money to do so.
Utilize it. Okay.
Okay, so my understanding is you have at least 24 engineering firms on a panel that you can choose from. So if there's no particular project for this company right now, I'm not sure why we are adding to their funding, plus their available funding.
Yeah, I was going to say, he actually said they're not giving the money. It was for the availability. If there's an emergency, that the funding would be there. So
I get it.
Okay.
It says it's amending Resolution 1831, 2017. And I tried to trace that back to see when their contract actually started. And the only thing I could find was it looks like it's 1831 in 2017, passed on December 12th, 2017. And if I'm correct about that, that was amending Resolution 65, 2016, which was amending Resolution 858, 2010. So has this contract for Cashin been going on since 2010? And if so, why hasn't there been a new contract?
Well, the way it's done is, in this specific incident, we're extending the contract from 150,000 to 225. So we're adding 75,000. So basically, I'm assuming, I don't have that information in front of me, but maybe in 2010, we raised it from some figure to the 150. If the town board passes a resolution, they're one of the engineers that we use. There's about 7 or 8 the General Services has that we use. RFQ was done a few years back, and we just continue with that way.
Yeah, I think there were about 24 engineering firms put on the panel for consultants, but how does this go on forever? I mean, if this has been going on since 2010, do they ever have to get a new contract?
That's up to the controller. I'm really not privy to that.
I see. Okay, so before my time is up, I also have a question about item 24. This is for a little bit under $10,000 for the Richner publications. It looks like it's to advertise on about 20 publications, which look like they cover pretty much the whole town, which is very good. But what kind of advertising is this?
Mike?
That particular set of advertising is, it was to advertise some of the summer recreation programs that we had this year, in particular recently the Salute the Veterans ceremony.
Oh, that's great. We had almost 10,000 people at that. Well done. And I know that Commissioner of Parks, I think you had to open up additional programs because you had so many people signing up the kids of the programs. Kudos. Good job on that.
So that's great. So this obviously reaches a lot of people, but why can't we just put it on the website?
What's funny is some people don't use computers, some people don't have computers, and some people read the paper still. It's funny. I read the actual Newsday paper. I pick it up. I don't read it online. So it's a good balance of both advertising on the internet and the old-fashioned way of advertising in the paper. We have great programs. Clearly, 10,000 people shows that you had great success with those. Well done by our parks and all the employees, because, boy, I tell you, people had a great time the other night. But that's why, because you really want to reach people. We've got great programs. Why do we want to keep it a secret?
That makes good sense. We really do want to reach people. So do we advertise job openings in the same way?
Yeah. Well, you know, I know job openings are posted on the town website, right, Mr. Salmon?
Ah. But if we want to reach everybody, I guess we don't.
I'm sure. I probably have to say to you, you know what? You were over at the Board of Elections for a while, right?
Sure I was.
Was that one advertised in the paper?
No.
Oh, I didn't say that. You said that. She said that.
You know what? Number one, I'm not a
Looking for
public
jobs.
official, so I don't have to answer questions. You
Okay.
do.
No, I can answer that.
Oh, Councilwoman Gooseby said she answered it, not me.
That's very good, Councilwoman. Do we put bids and RFQs and RFPs in all of these papers?
I think, Council, you would say we follow all the proper rules and procedures?
I think we go above and beyond general municipal law when it comes to advertising bids and RFQs, RFPs, so on and so forth. There are state-mandated reporters that we use. There are other reporters. When I say reporters, I'm talking about publications, so that when a bid is being made, it's reported through the state of New York's publications. So that's not something that would ordinarily appeal to an individual person, say a senior citizen who's retired or a working family where both people have, both spouses have a job and they
Small
are
business owner?
otherwise employed. It's a bid that goes out to companies. It is an RFP or an RFQ that goes out to companies and entities. Can be solo proprietorships, but we comply with the law and in fact go beyond it. And we don't advertise in individual papers because that is not how you obtain a vendor who's interested in placing a bid.
Maybe if we did advertise more widely, we'd have more than a single bidder for every one of our bids.
Thank you, Ms. Cron.
Thank you.
I don't have any of the slips. Does anybody else wish to be heard on the administrative calendar? Okay, did you fill out a slip? No? Dominic, was there another slip? Okay. If you name and address for the record, thank you.
Diane Madden, item number 72. Can someone please explain to me the specifics about borrowing $30,000 for a patrol van for the animal shelter?
Mr. Supervisor and Town Board, that's just to purchase a new animal control vehicle. As time goes on, they get older, and we like to keep the fleet up to par.
So it's an investment in an updated vehicle, which is the smart thing to do on a regular basis.
Probably make the older one obsolete, and we'll carry the same one that we have.
Okay.
So how many do you have right now? There's an awful lot of them sitting parked in the back of the animal shelter at all times.
I don't have this specific. It's between 6 and 8, I believe it were.
Okay.
And how many animal control officers do you have?
Well, this is on the bond. Any other questions on this bond resolution?
No, I just think it would be wasteful to spend more money, especially $30,000. You have a $5.5 million tax-funded budget for that shelter. Quite insulting to the taxpayers to consider borrowing any further money. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any other slips. Does anybody else wish to be heard? Okay. With that, I guess may I please have a motion?
I move the administrative calendar, 9 through 129.
Second.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Supervisor Clavin.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn.
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, great. Now that the formal town board meeting is adjourned, the board will remain to listen to some comments of the residents. First, we'll start off with Felix Procacci.
Felix Procacci, Franklin Square. Anyone reading the published final redacted report of my complaint submitted to Mr. Wildig would have no idea as to the nature of my complaint or what Mr. Wildig found. It took about 21 months and an ethics complaint against Mr. Wildig to get him to make public the so-called final redacted report of my case number 8, 2019. One problem with the report Mr. Wildig published on the town's website is that it is not the final report I received in response to a FOIA request I made in July 2020. It appears that Mr. Wildig falsified the published final report, just like he falsified his analysis of the town's procurement rules in my complaint. According to Section 65.3, Paragraph F, it is the responsibility of the town attorney to ensure that copies of reports are in compliance with the law. The Ethics Board, which includes the town attorney, felt Mr. Wildig's actions were not even worthy of an investigation, writing that even if my allegations were proven to be true, it would not violate the ethics code. But like Mr. Wildig, the Ethics Board falsified their report, intentionally omitting my allegation that Mr. Wildig interfered with the investigation of my case. Section 65-4, titled Political Activities Prohibited, essentially says the compliance officer shall not, knowingly or with reckless disregard to the truth, make any false or misleading statement as may concern any case, review, complaint, or other matter currently or previously before the office of the compliance officer, or make any statement that would reasonably be expected to affect the outcome or impair the fairness of a matter pending or impending before the compliance officer. These two provisions, essentially stated in Section 65-8, indicates such violations are a Class A misdemeanor. The facts of this case show that Mr. Wildig is guilty of violating both these provisions. Not one person has tried to defend Mr. Wildig's actions, not Mr. Nocella, not the Ethics Board, and not even Mr. Wildig himself, who turned down opportunities to defend his decision. It is not only the irrefutable facts of this case that show Mr. Wildig is guilty, he also acts guilty. Why did it take Wildig 21 months to publish a false report on the town's website? I would like the Ethics Board to take another look at this incident and at the very least show some courage and explain their conclusions and all the facts. In other words, act in an ethical manner. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Stu Kroll. Morning, Mr. Kroll. If you give your name and address for the record.
Stu Kroll, Great Neck. We have now entered the month of July, and the shelter is still fixing cats at a minuscule rate. The town shelter was closed to the public long after it made any rational sense. You fixed such a small number of cats that the numbers on the street multiplied at a geometric rate, causing widespread and unnecessary suffering and death. The experiment at Central Vet was an abysmal failure. They seemed to lose almost as many cats in the parking lot as they fixed. They were non-responsive to rescuers and cemented their dismal reputation. You have a trainer/consultant, Ms. Fonte, who is currently being sued, along with the town, for allowing a dog to be adopted that had an aggressive bite history. She lied about having the majority of her necessary qualifications. In the private sector, such prevarication would have led to immediate termination. By letting her remain in a position that she was eminently unqualified for, some unfortunate woman was maimed. Mr. Clavin, at your fundraiser for 200 people, when the state limit was 50, Did you take a donation of any type from one of your commissioners currently being charged with a serious charge of sexual harassment? Yes, we are all innocent until proven guilty. However, I think it is a very bad look to accept a campaign donation from a man charged with such a heinous offense. Perhaps you should have fulfilled your campaign promise and accepted the resignations of all your commissioners. You said you were appalled at shelter conditions and were going to improve them by bringing in qualified people. It doesn't seem to be as though this promise is working out very well. Some of the people working there are excellent, as are many of the volunteers. The problem is at the top. Many changes need to be made, and they need to be made immediately. You have managed to take away as many civil liberties of your constituents as you could manage. All citizens should have the right to question their elected officials. The call-in feature is an absolute joke. All phases of the board meeting should be accessible by phone. No one is interested in calling in to question the moving of a stop sign. It is obscene that emails can no longer be read into the public record. For a disabled individual or a stay-at-home mother, how are they supposed to make their wishes known? Obviously, you don't want to hear from your constituents. Incidentally, all meetings should be at night so the public can attend, and I will mention in closing that barring an emergency, all representatives should stay until the end of the meeting. This is not a volunteer position. You are being paid to be here and should be here. Thank you.
Supervisor, if I just may for a minute, I know that we have public comment to hear from the residents, but I don't think public comment was designed to attack people on a regular basis. Mr. Procacci, not for nothing, but Mr. Wildig served the Nassau County Police Department for over 30 years. With distinction, he was a union representative, and to stand there and accuse him of a crime is disgusting. Jerry Marino is a good man, comes from a good family, he works hard. And you're right, he is innocent until proven guilty, so why are we talking about it here? Public comment is to talk about town issues, not to destroy people's livelihoods and to attack their personal lives.
I appreciate the comment. You know, listen. Next I'll call is Regina Todd. Good morning, Ms. Todd. If you give your name and address for the record.
Gina Todd, 67 Stevens Avenue, Hempstead, New York. Good morning, Mr. Clavin and all town board members. Thanks for indulging me one more time. I'm here to speak on the Heatherwood development, the proposed Heatherwood development on the site of the National Wholesale Liquidator property, which has been an eyesore and a blight on the community for 20-something years. So I'm here pleading and asking the board, and you, Mr. Clavin, to approve the proposal because it really will benefit all of the residents of West Hempstead. All the community has been very vocal about it and happy to see that there might be something that'll revitalize West Hempstead, Nassau County, and really be an improvement for the livelihood for all of us. So it would be great if it could get on the calendar in the very near future. It's a moment in time to really change the face of West Hempstead, and it would be a shame to lose that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Todd. Thank you always for your advocacy and coming in. You're always a pleasure. So thank you very much.
If I could comment on that, as I indicated in my text to you, the matter is now still in the town attorney's office where they are looking at the covenant and restrictions, all of the fine points before it comes to a vote before us, but I'm told that they will be finished with that process relatively quickly.
That was really great news for all of us.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good seeing you. Enjoy your day. Next, I have Diane Madden.
Diane Madden, Hempstead. Councilman D'Esposito, if I didn't know better, I would swear you were groomed under Anthony Santino. Can someone please give me the update on the Goose investigation, the contract that was put on hold?
If you take it under advisement, I appreciate it. It's a public comment section. You know it well, Ms. Madden.
No, you pick and choose how you want to respond. I'm asking if you have an update on the investigation. Town attorney?
We're not prepared to comment on the investigation at this time.
Very good. Supervisor, thanks for opening up the animal shelter. It probably occurred to you that it was in violation of our freedoms. I was very happy to hear that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
But
you acknowledging
you're
that.
certainly
Thank you.
welcome. I expect more to, in other words, keep your promises, all of them. But in any case, the joy was short-lived because I was getting text messages and phone calls from a woman, Urbanski, I believe, in Belmore, was sending me pretty disturbing pictures of dead kittens, of a note, a love note from Mr. Pastore left on her door saying that she's no longer entitled to help from trapping. Apparently, she's been trying to get help from her neighbor that she claims is mentally compromised. There are many cats there. The animal shelter has been releasing a lot of cats back there. It's actually against New York State Agriculture and Markets law to return animals if there isn't a feeder there. And again, this woman is compromised. Not all of these cats are being fed. That is a violation. You keep taking your advice from the wrong people. You keep turning to Mr. Marino, who, according to Councilman D'Esposito, is an upstanding citizen. Maybe he hasn't spoken to Dana Mulligan, who, by the way, I will publicly apologize to for not taking her seriously. I'm not a liar. She approached me many times at the animal shelter, and I kind of brushed her off, believing that if she's connected to such a person, she's not being honest, and I owe her a great apology. I will say, though, Supervisor, once again, I've heard the name Kathy Malone, and in a praiseworthy way, that it wasn't until, this is going on 3 years, that Mr. Pastore has grossly mismanaged the situation. Not only has he mismanaged the shelter, but this situation, 3 years, kittens are still being born, which he should have had this taken care of. No one has gotten inside that home, but until Kathy got involved, I think things are starting to happen. By encourage this administration to go above this henchman's head who has let this situation get to the point where they have dead kittens all over their yards. You need to get inside that house and rectify and spay neuter all the animals that are in the house. Mr. Pastore has not done that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good job, Kathy. Next, I'm going to call, and I appreciate that. Kathy's awesome. Next, I'm going to call up Neil Lewis. Hey, Neil, what's going on? How are you, buddy? Give your name and address to the record. I ask everybody. I got to ask you nicely, all right?
Neil Lewis. I live at 513 Central Avenue in Massapequa, the neighboring town. I have an informational flyer for the board, if I could. There's 9 of them there, so there's enough for everybody up front. So I am here.
Neil, I'm gonna pester you to go back to the back podium too. Okay?
Oh, back.
So easy, go on.
Thank you, Councilman.
My
There you go.
apologies.
No problem.
Feels like it's been years since I've been at a town board meeting, so I apologize. So I'm here on behalf of, in my role as capacity as the Executive Director of the Sustainability Institute at Malloy College. We work on energy issues. We do energy policy. I'm out of the political world, just the policy world. And I've worked with the town at least on 2 occasions in the past on the topic I'm bringing up here, which is energy codes. And the code you have right now, we played a significant part in, we've done white papers, and we've really done a lot of analysis on how you can make our energy code, which is part of the state town building code. There is an opportunity to elevate the code or stretch the code locally, and the town has done that at least 2 occasions in the past. Today I'm recommending that you consider doing it again. I believe that your team is already probably knowledgeable about what I'm mentioning here, but it's worth elevating it to this level and mentioning it here today. This is the New York Stretch Energy Code. It was proposed last year. There's been a couple of webinars on it, but some of the enthusiasm waned during everything that was going on last year, of course. But the opportunity is significant. It's part of the Clean Energy Communities program, and I'd like to offer that myself and my team would be willing to meet with anybody, yourself, anybody at your discretion, your assignment. We'd love to sit down and go over this. The highlights are that there's a Clean Energy Communities program that has grant opportunities for municipalities across the state. There's several action items you have to do in order to achieve those opportunities. But one of the specific action items that I'm particularly interested in, as I said, it's almost been 20 years now that I've been working on energy codes. This is the New York Stretch Energy Code. And if you adopted this, there's a $50,000 grant available to the town to put towards energy projects at your discretion, like almost no strings attached. You pick what would be the good projects you want to put that money towards. So this is a great opportunity. I kind of have to start with that $50,000 one because I hope that would get everybody's attention. But obviously, it's worth doing otherwise. If you adopted the New York Stretch Code as proposed, Stretch Energy Code, I should say, the savings on the flyer that I just gave you, it says 10 to 12%, but that's really understating it because that's including all commercial properties. If you just looked at the residential part of the code, it would be an 18.8% increase in the efficiency, meaning an 18.8% reduction in what homeowners would have to pay on those future, those newly built homes. This would only apply to newly built projects or a scenario where there's a fire or something and more than 50% of the house has to be redone, then it goes to the new code. So I see my time's running out. I would love to talk with you all about this more. We've done it in the past. I hope we can do it again. Yeah,
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tie you up with two people. Freddie Jarwitz already knows that he's going to grab you before you walk out of here. And then I love grants. That's where we're doing stuff today. We're doing grants. And if it's opportunities, I have an internal grants team we created that we're always looking for real opportunities. So Freddie's going to get your information. And then you heard the name Kathy Malone. So Kathy Malone and Tricia Moriartis are going to actually get you to follow up with the opportunity for the grant on this too. Like I said, it's when you get it, we'll take advantage of it if we can. So we appreciate it. But Freddie, raise your hand.
Okay.
Kathy and Tricia, raise your hands. They're going to all grab you in the back and exchange information with you. So, and thanks. Always good to see you, Neil.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
I have one question for Mr. Lewis. How is this different or similar to LEED certification?
It's very different. So LEED is generally not meant to be a code. It's always meant to be above the code. So I guess the similarity is we're taking the base code and we are stretching above it. So it's similar in that aspect. So I can understand your question. But it would become the code. It would be law, whereas LEED is always just a choice. The memo uses the word voluntary right in the beginning. I think that was a bad word choice. It's voluntary in the sense that the town has a choice as to whether or not to adopt this stretch. But once you adopt it, it's no longer voluntary. LEED is purely voluntary. So I think there's some bad word choice that may have caught your attention there. But it would be different. It would become the code in the town, just as in the past, and as some people in this room that were here when we did it, we adopted a HERS rating code that was above the state standard to make homes in the town of Hempstead more energy efficient. So it would be similar to that effort. It would be the law if we adopt this.
But
This would be for new construction?
New construction, and usually there's a catch there that the 50% renovation where a person takes a house and totally doubles the house, or after a fire or something like that, they would have to comply with the new code.
Is this just residential or is it residential and commercial?
No, in the past it was just residential. This New York Stretch Code is residential and commercial. So it's much more far-reaching in that respect.
thanks, Neil. And like I said, when you talk to Freddie, we're actually changing a couple things down there. We're having so many projects coming on and solar and things like that. We're trying to, we have so many applications coming in. I'd love to just kind of pick your brain and have Freddie talk to you about some of the procedures we're going to do to get it a little quicker implementation for the residents.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much. Good seeing you. Ms. Wyndham? Hi, morning. How you doing? If you just give me name and address for the record.
Good morning, Felicia Wyndham, Roosevelt, New York. This is my first town hall meeting, so bear with me. Just two issues I want to discuss briefly. First of all, I want to extend so much gratitude to Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, you, Supervisor Clavin. A special thank you to Deputy Commissioner Jerome Martin. You are aware of an issue that has been going on next to my home. So far, the issue has been rectified temporarily. The truck is no longer in the lot, and I am so thankful for that. Mr. Martin has been out several times. This morning, he was there at 5:30 this morning. 5:30 to witness what goes on, to see if the trucks pull in, pull out. And I couldn't thank him enough for that. 5:30 this morning. He comes at night. He sits there. He watches. He sees what's going on. He's a witness to the chaos that is created on that block due to the landscaping trucks and the food truck. I am not against anyone making a living, not at all. But I am against commercial vehicles taking over Roosevelt. Roosevelt is a minority town. We all know that. Some view it as a drug, gang-ridden town. I've lived in Nassau County all my life. I moved from East Meadow back to Roosevelt to help take care of my mother, who can't even go outside in her yard due to this. So one issue I want everyone to bring attention to is the illegal housing that has consumed Roosevelt and the commercial vehicles that are everywhere. Has anyone investigated the remodeling that has been done on these homes and the driveways that have been extended to occupy commercial vehicles? I understand people have to make a living, but you have to do it the right way. I work for Nassau County. I live in Nassau County. I want to see every area be treated correctly. So again, I thank you for your swift action in that issue. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, I know someone was emailing me on your behalf. I truly appreciate that. You aggressively took action. You did not stop. And that truck is out of that lot. So again, I extend my thankfulness to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming. We will continue that. Jerome has really worked very hard with this. And as far as all the commercial trucks and so forth, we have removed, and we know there were more than 300 between with Roosevelt and Uniondale. And I get all the help that I need. Anytime I have something that's going on, I speak with the supervisor at all times. We work together. And through that, we've been able to accomplish this. Jerome has done some things that some people would not know what to do, but he does it because he knows a lot of people around. So we're grateful to you for coming in and realizing what he does. He works very, very hard. We do have a court case coming, I think it's the 6th of July. So the 6th of July will make a difference as to what we need to do, and I'm sure the building department has also been involved. They are making sure that they found all the necessary documents that we need in order to be able to, help correct this. So thank you so much for coming, and we appreciate you, and I'm glad that your mother is doing better.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, thank you for recognizing Jerome. I know he'd been down there in the early mornings because people were moving the trucks because they didn't think he came until like 7. So I know Jerome went there at 5, and he did. And kudos to you, Jerome. Again, you get 2 kudos today, Jerome, for that. But thank you for the kind words, and we're staying on top of that. And we appreciate you coming down. Thank you so much. Ms. DiTieri? Good morning. Your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. Marcia DiTieri, Lee Avenue, Merrick, New York. The woman that just spoke, I understand 100%. Just one little thing, and I don't know if the town can do anything. The landscaping trucks have taken over the whole town. They block stop signs. They block the road. You can't pass them, in addition to blowing toxic dirt into the roads, and which I know that is illegal. So on that note, if there's anything you can do about that, that would be wonderful.
It would be nice if she could give us some of the areas that she's having this in. It would be wonderful. You could help us more if you would give us some of the areas that you're seeing them in, so we can start targeting those.
And a lot of that's also when they're blocking a roadway or the stuff. That's really we can maybe call to the county police department because they're in charge of issuing the tickets for those violations, and I can understand your frustration with that.
It's daily.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
My tree preservation issues. I have come to the town board meetings in an effort to show the board what massive tree removal is doing to our environment. 5 years later, I am pleading my case with facts that are in the news daily, showing what destruction is doing to all of us. As I indicated at the last board meeting, Merrick had the highest heat index in the tri-state area, which, as science shows, is due to removal of mature trees. Yesterday, there was a warning that tick infestation is out of control. Opossums are our natural tick killers, eating thousands of them. No trees, no opossums. Rodent infestation due to less predators who roost and hunt from treetops. With temperatures rising and warmer oceans, there will be more shark sightings as with last year's. Less beachgoers, less revenue. I would like to present this photo of a new home being built on Hewlett Avenue in North Merrick. The builder informed the new owners that every tree had to be removed. It will be the only house on all of Hewlett Avenue with no trees. That is a crime. Our township is the only one on all of Long Island that would allow builders to dictate law without consequence. I am recommending that the town step in prior to approving this destruction for all future builds. There will be laws in place to protect all of our current homeowners, health, and our environment. We should be able to enjoy our neighborhood, being able to walk under a canopy of trees which protect us from skin cancer as well as respiratory issues, being able to breathe fresh air with trees absorbing toxic fumes, car exhaust, and gas leaf blowers, to name a few, absorbing pesticides and herbicides from the groundwater. Please start protecting our air, water, wildlife, and constituents. Also, that the tree planting program be reintroduced, as well as the tree trimming program that will save healthy trees, not kill them. We need preservation laws now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bonnie Garone?
Bonnie Garone, Rockville Center. There are three things that I'd like to comment on. Number one, when we last were here, Commissioner Marino told us about the reasoning for barring people from walking into the shelter, and it was a supposed 2014 study that said, you know, it wasn't good for dogs to see people. I'm heartened to hear today from Ms. Madden's comments that the shelter now miraculously is open to people. But Councilman D'Esposito, you told me, everyone, that you would get me a copy of that 2014 study. I didn't hear from you. I actually followed up by email to your office, and I still haven't received that. Am I going to get that study? Does it?
Sure, whatever Commissioner Marino sent over, I will give to you today. As a matter of fact, I could try to get it printed.
That would be great.
All right.
Number two, we have seen time and again at these meetings that commissioners have a tremendous amount of authority and discretion in terms of choosing vendors off a panel, recommending that their fees be raised, and this is not directed to any one particular person, because I understand you don't think anyone should be attacked. So generally, I hope that the town does vetting on its commissioners, and in particular checks to confirm that they have no past criminal convictions, especially convictions that would bear on their history of honesty. And I'll leave it at that. Third, although Supervisor Clavin says that he believes people shouldn't be attacked, I'm sorry, Councilman D'Esposito, that people should not be attacked here. Supervisor Clavin had no hesitation to attack me by asking if my personal job was posted. And Senior Councilwoman, I have the greatest respect for you. I really do, of everybody who is sitting up there. But you were correct. You were absolutely correct. My job was not posted. But if you would all become familiar, Supervisor, with the New York State election law. The New York State election law, which was passed by our state legislature and we're bound by, requires that political affiliation be taken into account when people are hired for the Board of Elections. That's how they check on each other, have two parties, and they watch each other, and that's the law we're bound by. So that's why it wasn't published to the public at large. However, The town of Hempstead workforce is not supposed to be required to be Republican.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Anybody else wish to be heard who did not put in a slip? Wonderful. Then everybody have a wonderful 4th of July and stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.